session. The Honorable John Stendos presides.
Thank you. Please be seated. So, good afternoon to everyone.
Good afternoon.
It is great to see everyone. I want to welcome you all to the 162nd DUI court and drug court graduation. It is awesome to be here. I really appreciate everyone that's here. I appreciate everyone that's watching on Zoom. I appreciate everyone that's watching on YouTube as well. And this is a really special occasion. I do want to acknowledge for a second the current public health crisis that we continue to go through. And as I look out, I appreciate that everyone is masked, maintaining social distance. You know, our court has really struggled with how to make sure court is safe for everyone. And I appreciate that everyone is following the directives that we've received from public health. I wanted to let you know that we had just talked about these things again as we continue to meet with our local health officials. And everyone does have to wear a facial covering in all Superior Court public spaces, including courtrooms when court is in session or open to the public. And this applies to everyone, myself included. Now, when court is in session, the presiding judge may make individual exceptions to the requirement. And so today, because of this momentous occasion and because everyone is being so cautious and safe, I have given permission for our presenters and our participants to be able to take their masks off when they're making their comments, and then they'll put them back on when they finish that. And so I wanted to just acknowledge that. So let me just talk a little bit about drug court. This is a really special occasion for me to be here. These four participants, and I'll announce them in a minute, they are truly exceptional. And I wanted to talk a little bit about drug court here in Thurston County. I wanted to start off with thanking everyone here for participating and supporting this program and supporting the participants. I wanted to thank Judge Schaller for being so kind to me and helping me as I took on this role of presiding over drug court. I wanted to also thank Judge Price and Judge Dixon and Judge Murphy, who have been very helpful as well. They were prior drug court judges. And then going back a little further, we had Judge Tabor, and then of course Judge Strophe, who was so important to this program. And so a special thanks to all of them, and they've all shared things with me that have really helped me with this role. And so I wanted to start off by recognizing and congratulating our four soon-to-be graduates of the program. And so Celeste Jones is the first. Where is Celeste? All right, we had Emerald Kohlberg. Where's Emerald? All right. Sing Lau. Sullivan. All right, so let me just go through a little bit here. You know, Thurston County Drug Court started May 1st of 1998. And the idea of this program was for people to achieve total abstinence from substances, was to promote responsibility and accountability, and to teach participants to be productive members of our community. That first drug court graduation was held about a year later, the end of June of 1999, and 2 people graduated. Since then, with the 4 people I just named, we're going to have 814 people that graduated from this program. And I wouldn't be telling the whole story if I didn't say how many people entered into the program as well. Between drug court and DUI court, we've had 1,712 people come into drug court in the last, 23 years. Now, some of those people, they didn't make it through the program, but that didn't mean that they didn't make changes in their life. And it didn't mean that they weren't ultimately successful. But the reason I highlight that is because this program, it is filled with many challenges. The participants that are here today, they know I talk about how hard and difficult making change is. Changing thoughts, sometimes not just years of thoughts and behaviors, but sometimes decades of thoughts and behaviors. Making those changes is very challenging. All four of the people that you're going to hear from this afternoon, they've all made enormous strides on the path to becoming the best version of themselves, and they are to be congratulated. And I'm really proud to be here. I'm proud of them. I'm proud of the changes that they have made. And when you hear the four of them, you are going to be, I think, blown away by these four people. So it's really an honor for me to be here in support of them. Thurston County Drug Court is an amazing program that reflects the people and the values of Thurston County. You know, every drug court program is a reflection of the community that it's in. There are over 4,000 drug court programs in the United States. And I have to say, having been able to look at what makes those other programs work and being able to see some examples of their programs, they have great programs. But I think what we have here in Thurston County is truly special. I think it reflects the richness of this community. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what makes the drug court program here work, but I want to acknowledge the fellow team members of the DUI drug court team. And so I'll tell you when, after I've announced all their names, I'd like to give a big round of applause at the end. And so let me go through and identify those people. Now, our court administrator is Sabrina Craig, and unfortunately she had a family emergency. She can't be here today. She's with you all in spirit. I talked to her this morning. And so Sabrina Craig. And then we have our counselors, including first off our clinical supervisor, Autumn Irvine. We have Terry Buckner, and we have Lori Mize. We have Kim Robbins, our program coordinator. We have our program assistant, Danny Dool. We have our office assistants, Darcy LaChapelle and Jason Foreman. And then we have our dedicated drug court law enforcement officers, and their role and their input is so valuable to the team. And we have Anthony Hare and Nathan Snyder, and they're here as well. At least Anthony is here. So I also want to recognize the lawyers that work with drug court. These lawyers are specially assigned to drug court by their offices, and we're fortunate to have their dedication and commitment. Today we have Ali Abid from the prosecutor's office, and he also has Ms. Shen that works with him in this role, and she could not be here today. We have Virginia Lagerstam from the Thurston County Office of Public Defense, and then her colleague, Mr. Swinney, who also could not be here today. But both Ms. Shen and Mr. Swinney are here in spirit with them. I also met this morning with the elected prosecutor in our county, Mr. Thunheim, and the head of the Thurston County Office of Public Defense, Mr. O'Connor. And they are such huge supporters of this program that I want to give a special thanks and acknowledgement of them, because they continue to really value this program and for how unique it is. So I talked about some examples of the community's support. And so let me just go over a couple of those things. First of all, we have the Strophe Foundation. I want to recognize that this is a group of leaders who are selflessly dedicated to all of Thurston County's therapeutic courts. This group's sole focus is on embracing these therapeutic alternatives to criminal justice by raising money and awareness. The foundation helps in many ways. For example, they provide funding for GED and high school diploma, or a food handler's card, or funding the incentives program that enabled our participants to meet their basic needs, or things that help support their recovery. These are some of the important contributions the foundation brings that brings these graduates to this meaningful moment. And so I want to give thanks to the Strophe Foundation. I do want to give a round of applause to our team members. And so let's go ahead and do that right now. I also wanted to just talk about that idea of a wraparound structure to drug court. You know, drug court makes sure that there's stable housing, and our participants are in stable housing. Sometimes when they come to us, they are not. That we make sure that they get into medical care and make sure they get medical care, which a lot of times has been neglected over the years. Dental care, you can imagine for many people, when they were going through addiction, they were not focused at all on that. And so sometimes there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Mental health care, all these things. And so I just want to acknowledge some of these local people and organizations that are so important to making a program like this work. We have BHR, CMAR, and Providence. We have our EMDR, which is an amazing therapeutic response for people who have gone through trauma. That's Kimberly Henderson and Jane Morgan that provide that care. We have medication-assisted treatment, which is so important to reduce those cravings and reduce those side effects and withdrawal symptoms and allow people to move forward with their recovery. Ideal Solutions, Medtrick, and Ole Buprenorphine Clinic at Capital Recovery Center. We have housing supports through Northwest Resources, Community Youth Services, their RISE program, the Community Action Council with their rent assistance, Oxford House, local housing providers, and there's many of them, but I'll just highlight just two that, they do so much in our community. We have lucky enough to have Robert Mitchell, Rhonda Rosenloff, amazing support and amazing work in our community. For education, because we make sure all of our participants value education, and if they don't have a GED or a high school diploma, we make sure they get that. Many of our participants go on to do additional college study. It is awesome. And so with the educational supports, South Puget Sound Community College has been so helpful with their GED and High School 21 program. Also, Family Education and Support Services, amazing programs. We have employment supports, because many of you may or may not know that when someone comes into drug court, the first 6 months, we're focused on really trying to orient them, focused on getting them into counseling, focused on all the things they need to do to stay clean and sober. But at that 6-month mark, we expect they're going to be working. They're going to be working at least 32 hours a week, and all of our participants are doing that. And our graduates today, you'll hear about the amazing things they're doing. So for employment supports, WorkSource has been very helpful. Pac Mountain has been very helpful for both employment assistance and training and certifications. The Northwest Justice Center helps a lot of our participants with different legal needs that they have. Sometimes that can be involved with outstanding court legal financial obligations. It can be matters in family and juvenile court. A lot of times, obviously, with addiction and the fact that people have not been on top of all their court obligations, that support at the Northwest Justice Center is, again, invaluable. And then community services through Union Gospel Mission and Salvation Army. We also have our work crew program through our public works. And then I need to just say the employment side. I don't want to go on too long because I really want to focus on our participants. But, in my role as a judge, so often we see people come through the system, and I talk to members of the community, and they say, well, Judge, why can't this person, when they get out of jail, why can't they start working? Why can't they do all these things? And I tell them that there are many consequences to having convictions, especially felony convictions, that can impact work, that can impact housing, that can really make it very difficult for someone to contribute to the community. A lot of employers don't want to give a chance to someone, and there's a lot of employers that do want to give that second chance. And I want to highlight Genothan. They employ a lot of our drug court participants. Trader Joe's, their warehouse, they employ a lot of our participants. And then I want to do a shout out to McDonald's. Lori Berryman and Kim Presto, they're owners. They're also on the Strophe board. They believe strongly in the work that drug court does, and they've seen the positive outcomes that have happened for people. So what I want you to all walk away from today, in addition to hearing these stories of the 4 participants, is think about what it takes for a community to support people that are really trying to make a change in their life. How does a community do that? And these organizations and people that I've named, they are actually putting action to that concept. They are doing what they can to help provide a framework where people who want to make a change, who want to become those people that we know they can be, gives them a chance to do that. And so when you go out and you talk to friends and family and your neighbors and people in church and any other social groups you're part of, talk about drug court. Talk about what an amazing program it is to give people this opportunity to succeed, and that they come back in our community and they are our co-workers and our friends and our neighbors. And it's such a powerful thing. Olympia Community Court, our Veterans Court, our Mental Health Court, or other therapeutic courts that do similar types of work for different types of cases, and they all do really good work in our community. And then I would be remiss if I did not point out a new program that we have that's through the Dispute Resolution Center of Thurston County. We have a new program that's awesome. It's called the Restorative Justice Facilitated Dialogue. And what it does is it gives a mechanism for people who have been victimized by participants in our program, a chance for the participant and that victim to talk and to come to some sort of understanding, to have a dialogue, to have a better understanding of what happened, and hopefully for healing. And you know, the criminal justice system, which I've been a part of as a lawyer and a judge for over 2 decades, in many ways doesn't really give a vehicle for that to happen. And so this is an exciting new program that we're doing, and I want to thank the Dispute Resolution Center for that as well. Now, one of the things that I always tell, well, I don't always tell, but we always tell the judges, is we want people to come back and share their successes with us. And, you know, we like to recognize our past graduates. We want to encourage our past graduates to attend, to encourage and celebrate their continued success. And it's difficult in this time of COVID because normally we'd have the courtroom packed. And we have a good turnout here today, but we have to be conscious of the numbers. And so I know a lot of people are out on Zoom. I know a lot of people are out on YouTube watching as well. But I know Christy Russell is here, and Christy graduated September 27, 2019. And is Christy, where is she? Christy, come on up. I want to give you your 3-year coin. Big round of applause. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Can I give you your elbow?
Yeah.
All right. Nice job. All right. So, with that, let us get to the main event, which is why we all are here. What I've asked the counselors to do is, the counselors play such an important role. And, you know, I'm lucky enough to have drug court participants 3 days a week come in and talk to me about how they're doing. And I will just tell you, these 3 counselors that you see here, Terry, Lori, and Autumn, they are amazing. And they're very humble. But they do such work and they care so much. And, you know, I always tell the participants, everyone on the drug court team wants to see people succeed. Now, part of succeeding is, of course, there's accountability and responsibility. And so sometimes we have to make tough decisions. But these counselors are phenomenal and they care deeply. And so what I asked all 3 of them to do was they are going to introduce a particular participant with a little reflection on them, and then we're going to hear from that participant. So, Lori, did you want to go first today?
Sure.
All right, so Lori, are you going to introduce Celeste Jones?
I am.
All right, well, come on up. Big round for Lori.
What can I say about this graduate? She has grown so much it's hard to explain. She came to us from the CDP program and soon learned that you can sanction your way right out of the program. She was oppositional and resistant to change until a light went on and she became serious about the program and her recovery. I've watched as she has grown into a young woman who is responsible, open, honest, and caring towards others. I've watched her make some hard decisions, like being vulnerable enough to find her family and reach out to them. She has let go of unhealthy relationships from her past so she could move forward in her life, and left a more recent unhealthy relationship she was in for her well-being and her recovery. Things like this take courage. After all, she is courageous and brave. She has faced her past through EMDR and is all the stronger for it. She now has a job she loves and a support network of women she uses in times of recovery risk. Today, this young woman has a smile on her face and a positive attitude and is looking forward to her future. I have a message from Darcy that says, "Yes, Celeste, it is yellow enough, and please drink some water." It has been my honor to work with such a unique individual, and she will be missed. It is my pleasure to introduce you to Miss Celeste Jones.
Thanks. So about 3 months before I was offered drug court, I accepted a year of DOC supervision to get out of jail on a previous charge. I had known I needed to get clean for quite some time, but kept making excuses about how it was too hard to do so because I was homeless. When I was picked up on these charges, I said yes to drug court because I just wanted to get out of jail. My initial plan was to get out of jail and get as high as I could one last time. Thankfully, that wasn't how it played out since Sabrina recommended CDP for me to be able to be successful in drug court. In my addiction, I had brought myself to a point where I was certain I would die of an overdose, and it was just a matter of when, and I had no desire to live to see the age of 30. In CDP, I was given the opportunity to find a job, get into clean and sober housing, and really dig into just how much my addiction had cost me and how much I had hurt the ones around me I loved the most. It was at that point I decided it really was time for me to get clean and stay clean no matter what. When I first began this program, I really fought it. I wanted to do drug court on my terms, and I guess you could say I was a foul-mouthed brat. I racked up a sizable amount of sanctions, and I think it was around half a dozen sanctions that a previous participant told me I could be terminated if I were to get a few more sanctions, and the last thing I wanted to do was to go to prison. So I decided to give drug court a shot and follow my counselor's advice. I learned a lot about the patterns in my use and came to the realization that I'm an extremely codependent individual, and that's something I need to put an effort into correcting and working on a daily basis, just as I do my recovery. When I was afforded the opportunity to go through EMDR therapy, I feel like that was a major game changer for me. It challenged and changed all my negative core beliefs about myself and relationships and changed my view on past experiences. In my life today, I've learned to set healthy boundaries in all aspects of my life. I've learned to love loved ones from afar whose lifestyles are not similar to mine. I've figured out my potential triggers and have a plan in place for when I feel triggered, and have thought about how a situation could play out with just one or two actions changed one way or another. I think the most important thing I've gained from this program, though, is learning how to love myself again and value my life, and have begun putting my recovery first no matter what. Some of the plans and goals I have once I leave here are to finish paying off the last little bit owed on reinstating my license. I've enrolled in school and have a goal to maintain a 3.0 GPA or higher. I plan on going to visit family I haven't seen since I was younger, that I've reconnected with since I've been in recovery. I could probably go on for days more in depth about everything I've learned and how much this program has changed my life, and ramble on about the goals I've set for the future, but I think it's about time to get to my thank yous. First, I would like to thank Sabrina Craig. Had you not recognized the depth of treatment I needed to be successful, I could very well be dead or in prison. Also, thank you for the Know Your Audience speech, because I really needed to hear that. Next is Darcy. Thank you for reassuring me every morning that my UA wasn't too light, my creatinine levels were most likely going to be fine. Autumn for listening to me every time I would get a sanction and come into class complaining about how I just wanted to self-terminate because it seemed like I was getting nowhere in this program, and asking me what good that would do. Thank you for always providing a different perspective on situations in CSC class. Lori, it seemed like whenever I had something going on in my life that I didn't feel like sharing with anyone, somehow whenever I would walk into your office, I would just blurt out whatever was on my mind. Thank you for letting your office become one of my safe places, and always telling me what I needed to hear, even though I didn't want to hear it. And thank you to the lawyers for not giving up on me when I was about a half a dozen sanctions deep, not even 6 months into the program. Judge Scheller, thank you for believing in me and seeing my potential even when I wasn't able to see it. Thank you, Judge Skinder, for coming in and doing your best to get to know everyone of us as quickly as you could. It was wonderful having you as the judge for my last couple court reviews. Lastly, I'd like to thank the drug court team as a whole, because if it weren't for this program, I wouldn't be the woman I am standing before you today.
So another certificate. And it has a picture in here, which you don't have to share, but it's a picture of when she came into jail. And so it's that broken photo, but you just wish you the absolute best, continued success. And give that to you. And Elba, all right. Something that she wanted to give you.
So when our graduates leave, each graduate will get a NORC, which stands for Normal, Ordinary, Responsible Person. You've made it to be some of us, so I'll tell you which one you are. Because frankly, I think you're too special. And in that, we have a little pouch. Okay? With their rock, so when they rock out, their peers will say really encouraging words for them, for things when things are rough. Stop. Are rough for them so they can hang on to their rock and they can remember those things. Especially some marbles and what's next. With a little palm that goes like this. What seems like the world makes no sense. And you feel like you're losing your marbles. Then grab a stone within, say a prayer, and start your day all over again. Congratulations.
So Miss Celeste Jones, 303 days clean and sober. All right, so Autumn has 2 presentations to do. Autumn, who would you like to present next?
Well, I believe Miss Emerald Holberg is but before I introduce her, our graduates or participants, before they get to graduate, they get to be in a wonderful Phase 4 group that they all adore so much, and they have to do projects. And several of those projects are behind us, they're life maps boxes. But one of their projects is they have to write a letter to their arresting officer. Emerald did that, and her officer was unable to be here, but has written a letter for her, which I will share today. Emerald, first off, thank you for inviting me to your community court graduation. Unfortunately, due to a prior planned event out of state, I'm unable to attend. Most importantly, though, congratulations. Your successful completion of this program is a testimony to your dedication to your family, your future, and yourself. I'm generally proud of you, and so is everyone who is here with you. Overcoming addiction to any substance is an accomplishment that should not be taken lightly. Having a sister who, to this day, struggles with addiction, I know firsthand how it can hurt a family. Though I'm unable to help my sister, your success gives me hope that one day she too might be able to overcome her struggles. I could not be happier to hear that your commitment has led you to a place where you can once again be with your daughters. I can only imagine how much of an inspiration their love was for you through this difficult journey. You should be proud. I hope to hear from you again down the road and share in the continued success I know will follow you. And due to some of the personal things that he had mentioned, I'm not going to tell his name if you know. So, I've worked with Emerald the whole time that she's been here. I don't know if that was lucky for her. nothing from me. But I am a true believer that everything happens for a reason. I'm a true believer that Ms. Kohlberg came into drug court for a reason. Her reasons changed as she was in the program. When she first started, it was to kind of pass time until she could be reunited with her partner and then quit the program and go live her life. Somewhere along the line of the many times where she told me she was going to quit because she was either told no or she didn't like something or I'm not angry, I don't need to do that. Comments from her. We had a very brief discussion. For those of you that know me, I'm pretty blunt about discussions in some areas. And I said, okay, if you want to quit, let's quit today. If that's what you want to do, then let's do it. I don't think it's a good idea for you, but if that's what you want to do, let's do it. And she looked at me in shock. And she said, well, I'm not going to quit. And I said, then you're not going to talk about that anymore. That's no longer an option. And she never did talk about it again. Because in that instance, Emerald chose her. She reminded herself that she is important, that she can do the work, that she's worth the time, that no matter what her reasons were when she came in, now her reasons were that long-term life meant something, and the only way that she was going to have it with her family and with her daughters was giving it to herself. In her time here, she has worked hard to become a very strong individual. She's working a job that not necessarily she doesn't like every day, but she gives it her 100%. She's become a very strong force with her daughters, teaching them that if mom can do it, so can they. And one of the last things she told me just recently was, I didn't want to give up because I don't want my daughters to think that it's okay to give up. And that is probably the truest thing I've heard. Our children look at us for example, and my gosh, young lady, your kids have a great example. I am super proud of what you've done and the hard work that you put in, and you have worked hard and you deserve this. And with that, I'm proud to present Emerald Kohlberg.
Hey, you know me, I'm really bad at talking in front of people, so I'm gonna try and get through this. First off, I'd like to thank all of you for coming to celebrate our graduation of the drug court program. I am so grateful that you guys all get to share this with me. Before I joined this program, most of you know that I was homeless, penniless, and hopelessness. I can't even stop myself repairing right now. I got too much makeup on. Okay, I really wanted to change my life for a long time, but I was clueless how to. And then thankfully on September 11th, 2019, I was yet again arrested. I immediately had asked for drug court. I had been in a program before of drug court. I did not succeed in that program, but I knew that I could recover with help like drug court. So in the beginning, I did pretty good and I followed all the rules and I did everything I was supposed to do. I didn't really have any issues until there came a time when I was unable to control my anger with a coworker at work, and I was quickly called out on it by the staff and judge. I did not like being told that I was wrong, even though clearly I was. So I started becoming resentful, but I continued on with all the requirements of the program until one day when I was told no by staff that what I wanted, it might not be the best decision for me. And I did not like being told no. So I had not yet mastered the art of acceptance, so I threw a big fit. That's what I was used to doing, throwing a fit and getting my way. And I screamed and yelled, repeatedly threatened to quit, and if I didn't get my way, I was gonna quit. One day, my amazing counselor told me that either you quit the program or you don't. And she didn't want to hear about it anymore, so I just stopped and thought that I didn't want to quit. I wanted to graduate because I thought that I could. So I never really thought that I could do something like this. So I continued in the program, and that was the first time I had actually dove into the program. And I thought I would not quit because I would not allow my daughters to think that it's not okay to give up when things get a little tough. I wanted to be the best example that I could possibly be for my daughters. So I humbled myself and finally just dove in head first into the program every step of the way. I worked really hard the entire time, and I cannot be more proud to say that I earned this myself. This is the first thing in my life I've earned all on my own. After graduation, I plan to focus on finding a home for me and Robert and the girls, and becoming more independent. And then in the fall, I'm going to enroll in SPSCC and try to take business management classes. Try and get a little bit more financially stable for the girls to save up for college. I also wanted to say that I'm so grateful to all the staff that helped me and led me in the right direction. I'm so thankful to you guys for being there for me. Autumn, Lori, sorry Darcy for everything. Jason, Sabrina, and Judges Skinder and Schaller. You guys are so amazing. Like, you made this feel like a family. And I also wanted to say thank you to my family, Mom, Dad, Robert, and Annabella, Betsy, and Charlie, because I could not have done this without you guys supporting me and being patient while I was in class all of the time and sticking up for me.
Emerald Kuhlberg, 289 days clean and sober. All right, Terry, why don't you come up and introduce your graduate today?
I think he's ready. This young man, he entered our program dazed and confused. He had a rocky start, rocky middle, and a little bump at the end of his program. But he faced his consequences, he learned some hard lessons, and he always moved forward. He was full of questions, and he had this constant eagerness to learn. Today, he stands proud, and he is happy. With that, I'm very proud to introduce Mr. Singh Lau.
Before we begin, thank you each and every one of you guys. Spend your time to come here for the graduation, either you're in Zoom or in person. My name is Singh Lau. I was born and raised in a small farm village in the southern part of China. When I was 17, I moved to America and I carried an American dream. I finished high school within a couple of years, but before my graduation, my father died by cancer. And at that point, my life and direction has changed. I turned my life into an excuse. I looked for opportunities in ways and many ways to make money. The best way of making money, fast and easy, is to do illegal things. I started growing marijuana, and shortly, I did make a good amount of money within a short period of time. But my life had no purpose. I got overwhelmed with the too much money on me and too much stress in life. I did not know what to do with the money I had, so I started to gamble and surrounded myself with people who were using, and I called them friends. But I did not use in the beginning. A few years gone by, I found myself in the same shoes as the people around me. I attempt to quit by my own and with my family by my side. Many times, few times, but success did not last long, and I started giving up on myself as well. I start to involve myself with crimes which related to hurting others and support my daily habits. Things did not last long. I got caught up and went to jail my first time in the summer of 2019. I got released the next day. 2 months later, I got in trouble again and got locked up, but I was able to manipulate my wife's trust. Then got her bail me out. I went back to jail again. At this time, inside of my heart, I realized my life is a huge mess. Now I change, neither I lose everything, including my life. I start to seek for help with my situation. Luckily, I got accepted by drug court and given a second chance in my life on December 10, 2019. I signed the paper and got released to participate in the program. I will never forget about that day. While I was in drug court, I learned how to be a normal person again. I regained my routine of life. I opened my mind to accept whatever drug court want me to do, although I feel rejected sometimes. But ultimately, I know this will turn out to be good for me. I start to realize how honesty, trust, and acceptance play a big role of my life. As I keep applying those rules into my life with times, I start to have a clear mind, which involved with long-term goals and short-term goals. Not only that, but also I let go of the past, which were my guilty and my shamefulness, because those things I did in the past, it trapped me some way. I cannot easily let it go, but I can talk about it with the counselor, and writing it out, sharing with the group members make me feel much better, and I felt I was reborn. With times, I built up a positive perception toward people and the environment around me. My perception nowadays plays a huge impact in my life. A final period of time in drug court, I start to gain normal life stress and struggle, but I learned how to deal with it. Instead of running, hiding away from the reality like I used to, I learned many valuable life in lesson in drug court. There were a few important things I want to point out. Responsibility, honesty, and acceptance are the key things in my life, and I would like to live like that in the rest of my life. After the program, this is not the end of my journey, and this is the only beginning of it. I have no longer lose my direction and purpose in life. I have reshaped myself physically and mentally. Throughout the program, and I'm ready to pursue my career as a real estate agent and a part-time National Guard. Most importantly, I will live as a responsible man to myself, to my family, and to the community. I'll work hard, pay tax, and live a peaceful, meaningful life till the end of my day. Finally, thanks to the drug court team. Thank you, Sabrina. She's not here. You gave me this first opportunity to enter the program and guide me through my application in jail when I was needed it. Thanks to Autumn. When you always have a soft tongue on me in my last phase, you might not remember the first affirmance you gave me in drug court. Quality work. You say that, I took that in me and applied throughout my program and my life. Thank you to my favorite counselor, Larry Buckner. You are my friend and my life coach. You challenge me and encourage me to keep moving forward with my journey through drug court and life. You're constantly pushing me to be a better me because you know that I have the potential in me which I did not even know it myself. Without you, I would not able to loving myself as much as today. And to Jason and Darcy, you two will always kept a smile on the face regardless of whether outside is rain or snow. Jason, I enjoy the bathroom talk with you every early morning. It started up my day. To judges, Schaller and Skinner, Your punishment and encouragement had a huge impact in my life. I always remember those things. You chew me up in the court and encourage me. Finally, thanks to my family, my wife, and my brother, my sister-in-law, that you guys never give up on me, even in my worst period of time. You guys are still by my side, support me, love me, and last person I want to thank is myself. I allow myself to change, to accept, to learn, and work hard in the program. Without that, I would not able to make it. Overall, thank you to each person in my life for helping me and giving me this second opportunity. Drug court not only changed my life, but also changing my families as well. I cannot thank you all enough, but only thing I can do is keep going and keep living a sober, meaningful life. Sincerely, Sheng Lao.
Hold on 1 second. Don't go yet. All right. Sheng Lao, 335 days clean and sober. All right, Autumn.
I'm just gonna go back there.
That's all right. You go forward.
Last but not least. Well, where to begin? So this young man came from CDP, Celeste had been there, which is an amazing program. It's a chemical dependency program in the jail where some people have to start out because they need a little more direction, a little more structure, which this young man fell in that category. However, when he did come out of CDP, I remember doing his assessment with him, and he was very open. He was very open about what he needed, although he thought he knew everything he needed. But one thing he did know was that he was broken. He was hurting. He was lost. He was trying to find happiness. He was excited about what his future could hold, but wasn't quite sure how to get there. One of the big things is he was very excited about getting married shortly after getting out of CDP, and we all went, oh, wait, okay. I think the first week he was out, he did that. Which, we don't always recommend that. But through his faith and his relationships, they've had hard times, but they've never given up on each other. And hopefully in their future, they will have the times that they deserve and what they want to do, as long as they stay together on the same path. Mr. Sullivan, since he's been with us, it was a little scary. I would go on vacation and normally come back, and he would have done something that got him in trouble, and pretty soon it was like, okay, listen, I'm going on vacation. Can you please just be good? Be good, I'm only gone for a week. He's like, okay. So we got through that, and so that was kind of the rough time. And then pretty soon he started to get things back in his life, realizing that he was worthy, working on some of his codependency, gaining his license back, living in an environment, learning to have friends, and most importantly, getting his family back, getting his daughters back, and being part of his mom's life again, and crazy enough, becoming a grandfather, working full time, and being able to have a car that's licensed, working on his other issues that he has. It's been a really hard process for him on a lot of things because it's been emotional, but he's never given up, and he's always stayed put. And although some things he didn't like to hear, he'd process, he'd come back, and he'd say, okay, I do it. I need to do this now, and I need to do this now. And some things were difficult, and he had to make difficult decisions, but he did them. and that's a testament to where he is now. It's my pleasure to introduce Joshua Sullivan.
Papa.
Hey, Alyssa, Caitlin, sure.
Papa.
Okay. Father God, please help me. I am starving, my heart and soul is broken, and I'm going to freeze to death. I do not know what to do. I beg you, I need your guidance. I need your grace. These were the words I begged God to not only hear, but to step in and save me from. 3 days after I was arrested on a second bail jump charge, I was running from an inevitable prison sentence, and the way I was headed, I was sure to die. When I say be careful what you wish for, I didn't think it applies to prayers as well. So as I sat in Thurston County Jail, the addict in me was trying every possible way to get out. My soon-to-be wife tried around 20 different times at several different bail bondsmen to get me out. My desperation and want was no match for what God had in store for me. I heard about drug court and thought it was a perfect way to get out as fast as possible to get back to my wants and needs and addiction, or so I thought. After speaking with Sabrina, she saw right through me and even said a few things that I hated hearing and now I've come to appreciate. She has suggested going through CDP drug court, which would require several more months in jail in an intensive recovery program, after which I would be able to reintegrate into society while attending further recovery classes under strict guidelines of Thurston County Superior Courts. I was waiting to make a decision on CDP or getting out to drug court until I was at a time where I had to make a choice in hopes of possibly being bailed. This was months after first being arrested, and the addict in me was still in control of my thought process. I began going to church and jail and even gave my life to my God, Jesus Christ. The morning I went to court to find out if I would be released that day to drug court or stay in CDP. I still thought I was going to be able to get out and end up doing the same thing I always did, go back to using. Instead of going to the courtroom with a sense of my cocky former self, I decided right then and there I wanted to change. I wanted to be alive again. I wanted a life worth living. In the courtroom, I gave it all to my God to do His work in me, and I felt a sense of relief and peace when I was told that Sabrina and the courts thought it would be best for me to stay in CDP. I heard God in the courts completely. If I was going to do this, I would have to give it my absolute best. I was done with the games. I became honest and sincere with myself and everyone. I not only struggled to face my past and how I did so much wrong to so many people I did or didn't know, to loved ones or even myself. I also struggled with being a devout Christian. My patience was tested, my honesty was tested, and abiding by rules and guidelines became a norm for myself. The first thing I learned in CDP was I did not have to be alone in this. I had other people right next to me, ready and willing to help, and all I needed to do was ask. I was watched over by guards I once considered being the enemy, only to find out they were also willing to help if I only asked. I became more comfortable in my own skin and felt more comfortable and trusting with my CDP peers I now consider my close friends and sober support. I have come to know how dependable and strong I really am. I understand that my belief system was not just wrong, but very corrupt. As I reintegrated back into society, I was ready to begin my first baby steps with the new tools I had been taught. With the world changing at a crazy pace and so many obstacles such as COVID, it was somewhat difficult to navigate. I was afraid I wouldn't be able to succeed. A few of these obstacles were monumental to me. Being newly married, the difficulty of choices that needed to be made. Several of my friends I have come to count on made choices that took them back to prison or worse, just disappeared. Instead of choosing to hear the addict in me, I chose to turn to my counselor and my sober support. Since then, I've learned about my self-esteem and how to stay positive, goal-oriented, and driven to better myself every day, one step, one moment at a time. I know that I was living in a codependent manner my entire life. I am probably always going to be working on that, but I'm not working on anyone's personal issues other than my own. I can depend on myself to be happy and content in the moment, however I choose. I am going to continue my sobriety by setting goals that will challenge me, but also give me a sense of accomplishment. I am attending college at SPSCC in the fall to become a social worker / family advocate.
I will continue to maintain my personal relationships and be involved in my family's life. I've just become a very proud grandfather, and I am so blessed to be able to be a part of my children's future. Before I begin to say my thank yous, please forgive me if I do not mention anyone that deserves my gratitude. There are so many I am thankful for. I first and foremost thank my God and personal Savior for seeing me through this and never leaving my side. My life is filled with trials and hardships. Sometimes I feel overwhelmed and grieved. Nevertheless, I am grateful that in every situation, you are with me. In you, I have peace. No matter what I face today, I chose to not let my heart be troubled or afraid. My mind is fixed on you, and I trust in you. I would like to thank my beautiful wife for getting me through some pretty scary and sometimes discouraging news when COVID first hit while I was in jail. I thought the world was ending, but her loving and encouragement never did. My mother, sisters, and daughters for never giving up on me. Thank you for your continued support and confidence. I thought I lost long ago. Gabe and Sherry Short, even while I was lost to my addiction, you never turned me away. Your door to your home and your hearts were forever open, and though I may have taken advantage of that by coming and going at some crazy hours of the night or emotional roller coaster rides, you still found it within your hearts to love me like I was your own blood. Robert Mitchell, for being not only a landlord, but a great friend and a mentor, and most of all, sober support. I am thankful to have you in my life. Curtis Costa, my best friend, roommate, and support. You have become one of my best confidants in my recovery journey. You are nothing but the best for me, and I know this to be true. We have had so many discussions and sometimes arguments, but like true friends, it all just makes us stronger in our relationship. I could not have done this without you. The entire drug court staff. There are so many names to list, and I'm not going to go into it because it would be like reading the casting of a great movie. It takes many to make one, and it took many to get me to where I am today. You all know who you are. There is one particular person that I absolutely must thank with so much gratitude. There truly are no words for it. Autumn Irvine. I will never forget you for the rest of my life. That's like seriously, I will never forget you. Life that you have helped bring back from certain destruction. God put you in my life for a very good reason, to help me learn to be myself, to help myself, to get a better understanding of who or what I am as a person. I felt I could be myself from the first second I spoke to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Keep doing what you're doing. You have and you will save so many lives. Again, thank you for all. Thank you all for everything. I now have a real chance. I have a family, I have friends, and for once in a very long time, I not only have hope, I have a future. Thank you.
Way to go, Josh.
All right, Autumn. All right, Joshua Sullivan, 471 days clean and sober. All right, well, I told you these were 4 amazing graduates, and you've gotten to hear from them. I do want to give some other opportunities for people to have some really important things to share. Mr. Abid from the prosecutor's office is going to talk about hope and has a presentation for each of the graduates. Mr. Abid.
Thank you. Thank you again, Your Honor. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow graduates, good afternoon to everybody. Today, I'm humbled and I'm honored on behalf of us to present you hope points. As our office in general, we all believe in hope theory and define that as having, with hope, having goals, finding pathways, agency, and then reaching those goals with your willpower. When things appear as they are unlikely to reach where you want to be, it's the hope that keeps us alive. But truly, hope springs eternal. And these hope coins, there are words. They say hope, goals, pathways, willpower. When you started the program with those concepts in mind, you achieved many things. Many of you have done things that you thought unlikely, but were able to achieve those. Some of you have gotten GEDs while in the program, in this program, and then some of you have had the jobs that you never thought you would have. So all of these things, you started out because you had hope. So with these coins, what our goal is, what we are trying to send a message to you is that drug court journey was one part of your life. Now that is done, but the real journey continues on in life. So applying the same concepts going forward, hopefully you will recognize that. You will go to your coin box, pull that up, look at that, and then set those goals again. Find those pathways like you did in the drug court program. Have that willpower, continue to achieve your goals. So with that, I'm going to be handing you each a hope coin.
These coins are only given out very rarely. They're given out to graduates, but they are a special thing.
Emerald.
Mr. Abid, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Buckner, did you have a presentation?
That I do. All right. Followed up. Another tradition of the drug court, which has been going on for many, many years, the Noble First Seedlings, started by Forester, Mr. Paul Graves. His way of recognizing the accomplishments, recognizing your participation in the program. These are 18-month seedlings, Noble Fir. They're a representation of the time that you have been in the program, plus or minus. In some cases, plus. There was one in front of the building, it's about yay tall now. I almost brought it, but I was told no. You can find yours and have a good place. What we suggest is you take your tree and find a special place and plant it. At first, you will not notice much growth, but as time goes on, you'll notice growth, such as the growth when you started the program, these were seeds. And now you have the beginnings of trees. Your growth in the program, your growth in life. And as you plant it, you'll notice the growth in the tree and your growth yourself. But you will also have a place that if you want to go to, a little place to go meditate, a little place just to get away. somewhere just to be able to go and reflect. New beginnings on the front of our flyers that we have. This is a new beginning for you. I'm very proud of all of you. Please come by and visit us occasionally down the road, and I thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Buckner. Well, I'm going to have some closing comments, but there's an important thing that needs to happen. So I'm turning to Mr. Abid. Mr. Abid, does the state have a motion to make?
Yes, Your Honor, I do, and it is my pleasure to announce that based on successful completion of the program, in the case of the State v. Celeste Jones, the state moves to dismiss with prejudice.
The
And
state,
that would be
go ahead.
cause number 19-100846-34.
Very good. Ms. Jones, the court is dismissing that charge with prejudice. Congratulations. Mr. Abid.
In the matter of the State v. Emerald Kohlberg, cause number 19-101721-34, based on her completion of the program successfully, state moves to dismiss with prejudice.
The case is dismissed with prejudice. Congratulations.
Your Honor, in the matter of State v. Liao, cause numbers 19-102021-34, cause number 19-101509-34, and cause number 19-101579-34. Based on his successful completion of drug court program, the state moves to dismiss with prejudice all cause numbers.
Mr. Lau, I am accepting the state's motion. I'm dismissing all three cases with prejudice. Congratulations.
And in the matter of State v. Sullivan, cause number 19-100278-34, based on his completion successfully of the drug court program, the state moves to dismiss with prejudice.
Mr. Sullivan, I am granting the state's motion. I'm dismissing the case with prejudice. Congratulations. Thank you, Mr. Abid. Well, so, closing comments. Like I said, the main event was hearing from these four outstanding individuals. I'll just tell you, when I was an attorney before I became a judge, I didn't really have involvement with drug court. The cases that I dealt with were cases that were not eligible for drug court. And it was always a program I thought that was amazing because for the reasons I talked about. The whole way our system works is it's supposed to be that someone, if they get in trouble, they take responsibility, they take accountability, and then they should be able to go forward, move forward in their lives, and do great things. And what I thought was amazing about drug court and what I've gotten the benefit to see from all of you is how hard you have worked to make those changes and how significant those changes are. And I've had the honor to see each and every one of you be able to talk with such compassion and commitment about these changes. And I can see the pride in your eyes for the changes that you've made and the things that you want to do in your lives. And it is awesome. And so my closing comments really are aimed at things just to think about. And today I picked a couple quotes actually. And let me read the first one to you. It says, "Do one thing every day that scares you. Those small things that make us uncomfortable help us build courage to do the work that we do." You've all exemplified this. You all have taken on things that make you uncomfortable, and you recognize that with that uncomfortable is where growth comes. And when Mr. Buckner talked about the trees growing and made the analogy to all of you growing, that's exactly right, because you've addressed things in your life. You've addressed things that you had deep inside. A lot of times people had significant trauma. And you went through and you addressed those things and you reached out for help. and you really looked within and you worked hard. And I want you to continue that spirit, because when you embrace those things that make you uncomfortable, it really does give you the ability to grow in ways that sometimes you didn't think you could. You know, when I hear, we heard from our graduates, want to be a family advocate, want to work in real estate, want to be a reservist with our military or the National Guard, want to work in business management, substance abuse counseling. These are amazing things. These are people that are going to give to the community. They're going to be parents to their children. They're going to be wonderful neighbors and friends. And so the reason that quote really appealed to me, but I looked a little deeper into who had said it. And it was Eleanor Roosevelt. And, for some of us, we might have some knowledge of history, but Eleanor Roosevelt was a pretty amazing first lady. She was the first lady of our country from 1933 to 1945. She had a very difficult childhood. She had her mom, when she was 8, her mom died from an infection called diphtheria. Her brother had died of that same infection 6 months later. Eleanor's father was an alcoholic. He had been committed to a sanitarium. That was when she was 9. He jumped off one of the stories there, survived that, but ended up dying of a seizure. So we have this young woman who, probably people looking at her life thought she had a lot of privilege. And she did have a lot of privilege in terms of wealth and things. But, she had that loss early on in life. She actually had been involved when she was very young. She was only 2 or 3 at the time. 2 ships had collided, and she went in a life raft, and she had a lifelong fear of the water and boats. But then she went on to be sort of a controversial first lady. And the more I read about her, the more I thought she was one of these people that's interesting, because she did difficult things. She was controversial because she was outspoken. At that time, you can imagine, 1933, 1945, these were some big times in our country. She advocated for the civil rights of people of color. She advocated for expanded roles of women in the workplace. She ended up pressing the United States to join and support the United Nations and become the first delegate to the U.S. For the United Nations. She was the first chair of the Commission of Human Rights. And, obviously that was during World War II, the latter part of her time as First Lady. And after the attack on Pearl Harbor, she spoke out against prejudice. She warned against the great hysteria against minority groups. And at the time, she was widely criticized. The LA Times called for her to be forced into retirement from public life. But she continued to fight for the things that she believed in. She continued to do what she believed was right. And by the time she died, she was pretty much universally respected. In fact, New York Times had done a obituary about her where they made that exact point. She was universally respected for her commitment to helping people, for being outspoken, for really doing the right thing. And that really spoke out to me, because here's this person who had all of these things in life, but we talked about, every single one of you talked about in drug court, the things that you did to embrace being uncomfortable and to push through that and to change. And I don't want to single out any one of you, but I will just say I got to see that light in the eyes of each and every one of you when you talked about the growth that you saw in yourself and how that surprised you. And so I just really wanted you to think about that. Please continue to embrace that. Also, I think all the counselors, we all, and everyone on the drug court team, we want you to stay in touch with us. We want to hear about the successes and the hard times too. We are here for you. We've been here for you throughout. And you all have heard me say this. We all want you to succeed, and we do. The fact that you've graduated, there's a little part of each and every one of us that we're sad to see you go, honestly. But we're super excited for you. You are going to go on to all do really good things. And so I'll leave you with one more quote. And this again was from Eleanor Roosevelt. This was a quote. Someone once, and she's speaking, someone once asked me about what I regarded as the 3 most important requirements for happiness. My answer was a feeling that you have been honest with yourself and those around you, a feeling that you have done the best you could, both in your personal life and in your work, and the ability to love others. And that includes loving yourself. Congratulations to all 4 of you. And I'm going to come and just give you all a little elbow bump. But a fan is fun. All right, everyone, please celebrate.